Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. It's fan chat time, and we've got the crew. We'd like to welcome back Daz, Seb, Lee, and Phil. Good to have you with us, boys. Things are great at the minute, aren't they, Daz? What you thinking?
It's almost Lee's going to shoot me, but it's almost too good to be true. I think we started well. We look decent, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and it's Seb. We've had the pain. It's time for the joy.
100%. I was saying to a few mates on Tuesday, I don't remember a time where we went into a game being favourites. You know, the mentality and, you know, the culture shift at the club, and, you know, long may it continue.
Yeah. Lee has said all along that we're going to win the league, and we'll be right up there. And he's right. What's pleasing you most of all at the minute, Lee?
There's a few things, but I think the main thing for me, Simon, is the actual mindset. And it's not just the players, it's all around the club, sort of from Ben Boycott at the top, coming all the way down, and then sort of the squad, what we've got, the staff, and even the fans. I think there's been a big shift, especially since the last few years, where the mindset has been a bit, shall we say, a bit negative or a bit mediocre at times, where I think this season has showed the mindset's a lot more positive and a lot more upbeat, and I think the future's bright.
Excellent. Phil, slightly different question for you, just to sort of challenge you a little bit. Attendances, we're sort of up there, getting up there. Are we going to increase our core support anytime soon?
Hopefully. I think it's still going to be a bit of a slow burn. I think there's still probably a few fans waiting to see whether the system was a flash in the pan or actually a sustained period of good results. And I think probably the Fleetwood game might have it certainly gave me a thinking of, well, has the bubble burst, or are we? But the reaction to that has been very good. I think if we continue this form, definitely the crowds will go up. How much they go up remains to be seen. I don't think we've been helped either by things like the international breaks and losing Saturday home fixtures. And I think I'm right in saying we're probably going to lose the Gillingham game as well in a couple of weeks' time, which falls on an international break. So that's not going to help. You'll always lose a few for a Tuesday night game. But I think if we sustain the form we've shown at the moment, then inevitably the crowds will increase as the season goes on.
I think the people that have stayed away from in the Bonser era, they've got no excuses for staying away now. I think the club is in a much better, firmer position. The performances are improving. As far as this season's concerned, something Darren mentioned last month, we've got a lot more home games in the first half of the season than we have in the second. So what Phil mentions about having some postponements, maybe that'll sort of help to balance that out a little bit, so it's a bit fairer. But as Seb says, we're going into games as favourites, which is a bit of a weird thing. Daz, when teams are just trying to hold out against us and defend against us, have we got to be cuter?
Possibly. We've got to take our chances when they come. I think we paid yesterday for we spurned a chance really early, and we missed a chance really late as well. And we need to take our chances, which is a bit strange given we're top scorers in the league. But I don't think we've converted as many as we could, to be honest with you. I think the one thing we've been really good at is punishing, and we've been ruthless at punishing other teams' mistakes. You see where the goals come from. The first two at Grimsby last week, we won the ball inside Grimsby's final third. Yeah, it's been a consistent theme across the year so far, and we look really good when we can do that. We struggle against teams that knock it long early. I think that is becoming a pattern But yeah, take the chances when they come. We'll be fine.
Yeah, Seb, when Hutch left, we thought we were going to be struggling, but the midfield now, when was the last time we had a midfield this good?
Probably not in my lifetime, really. But no, I just think we got a really good balance in there. Jellis, that box-to-box midfielder, he's an excellent player. Charlie Lakin, I still think there's still more to come from him. I think that as the season goes on, it's going to be between him and Jack Even. I'm a massive fan of Even. I think he just brings different dimension. I think the energy he has and more of a conviction in the final third. And Ryan Sturr, what a player. I think he's one we need to get tied down to a new contract. I think he's out of contract in the summer. So, yeah, I think we need to get him down. But in terms of the Hutch question, no, we haven't missed him. I think we're definitely a more balanced side. And I think the midfield definitely suits Matt Sadler's, that transitional style he wants to play, full of energy as well in the press.
Yeah. Lee, I think everybody had a lot of concerns about Matt Sadler last season. I know previously you sort of had your concerns about him. Has he changed your mind?
In the whole, yes, but I think this next sort of 5 or 6 games, he could prove me even more wrong than doubting him last season. I think, and it's only a minor criticism before anybody starts piling in on me, I think his use of the subs could be a little bit better. And I think yesterday was a bit of an example of that. I think, yes, compared to last season when we went to Accrington and they beat us, obviously this season getting the draw was better. But I just thought, especially with the bench we got this season, you look at that bench, all 7 could be started, couldn't they, really? So during the game, I was thinking, especially with the last 15 minutes, could he have brought Hall on to bring a bit of pace? Because I think the 2 Accrington centre-backs sort of loved the physical challenge yesterday against Lowe and Jamil Matt. But I just thought, maybe if Hall come on with a bit more pace, it's something different for them to deal with, and it might have unlocked the game a little bit more for us. That's just a slight criticism. And even DJ, he sort of brought DJ on with sort of 5 minutes to go. Could he have brought DJ on with 10 minutes to go, 15? And then that could have been, maybe we could have got more of a chance and then got the win. It's only a minor thing, but I think as the season goes on, these little tweaks could be what be the difference from being in the top 7 and that top 3 at the end of the season. It's only a minor thing, but I think especially with the bench we got now, and we'll probably come on to it a bit later on, the players that aren't even on the bench at the moment and are around the sort of squad, I think he's got enough players where he can change games. And I think for me, I just want to be a little bit braver. Don't get me wrong, going to Accrington and getting a point at the end of the season, that could be vital to us. But I think there's going to be games like that where the really, really good managers will be a bit braver, maybe a bit bolder, and sort of roll the dice and go for the win. And I think with the bench we've got and the squad we've got, I think he can do that a little bit more.
I 100% agree with you there. I don't think he used the bench as well as he could have done on Saturday. I think it was a game where perhaps Adama and Hall and maybe Cleary, if Cleary had been on the bench, that would have really sort of turned them out a bit, I think, and got that through. But going to Phil, with the squad we've got this season, it's a big challenge for Matt Sadler to keep everybody happy, isn't it? How do you keep everybody happy when you've got effectively 11 players who could come in for the current 11?
Well, we spoke about this last time. The answer is I don't think you can, but I think the players that are out of the squad at the moment need to realise why they're out of the squad. They're out of the squad because the players that have got the shirt are keeping the shirt. And I don't think you can argue too much with that. I mean, let's take Evan Weir as an example. The last game Evan Weir played was the Leicester game, and he was part of a back 3 that kept a clean sheet against the Premier League team. He hasn't played a league game since. I don't think he's had any minutes since then, which just shows you how well, okay, Fleetwood apart, but let's take that as a blip. You can't argue with what the players that have got the shirt are doing. I know that you can always have an argument about certain players, and Seb's already talked about the earring over Lakin dilemma, but I'm a bit 50-50 on that one myself in terms of what Sadler does. But how do you keep 20 odd players happy when you can only start 11 and you can only have 7 on the bench? I think the answer is you can't. He's got to stick with what he believes in and what's working at the moment. There will be opportunities. Players will get opportunities through injury suspension as the season goes on, and it's up to those players to take the opportunity when it comes.
I think, would it be wrong to be making subs to keep people fresh and keep the team fresh, rather than just tactical, just to keep people happy by giving them minutes? Is that dangerous, or?
I don't think it's dangerous when you're not necessarily reducing the quality of what's on the pitch. I mean, Lee said earlier, didn't he, that you could make a case for all 7 players that were on the bench yesterday starting. So I don't think you should always necessarily consider rotating the squad or giving players an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily diminish the quality of what's on the pitch. And I think we have got a good squad at the moment, but I think Sadler is right to keep faith with the people that have put us in the position that we're in now. It'd be interesting to see what he does on Saturday. Obviously, we've got a cup game coming up on Saturday. It'll be interesting to see whether he mixes it up a bit. I think he probably will, as he has done in the League Cup games. But like I say, it's up to the players to take the chance when they come.
Yeah. Well, would you make changes, Daz, for Saturday, home to Bolton? Would you get some minutes? Would you get some minutes into some of those?
Absolutely. Simon, just before that, just going back, I was with Sadler yesterday. I think Johnson was the key to winning yesterday, but what he was giving up to try and win it, I think he kind of concluded was too much. You saw against Carlisle on Tuesday night, he took Lower Matt off with about 20 minutes to go, or whatever, 15 minutes to go. And suddenly there was no out ball. Suddenly there was nothing sticking up front because he'd rotated. I think that was probably in his mind as well. And with the 6 points he got in the week, a point was enough yesterday. Yeah. But so I'm more sympathetic to Sadler's choices yesterday than most. But I think Johnson was the key to winning it. In terms of the FA Cup next week, absolutely. I think a couple of things he needs to rest some. He needs to rest some bodies. Matt being the obvious one. Harry Williams is another one who had injury problems when he came last year after his body struggled to adapt to full-time professional football, and he's played Saturday Tuesday for 2.5 months now. So Harry Williams,
a young lad, isn't he?
Yeah, but his body failed him last year, and you don't want to run it. You don't want to run the wick too low before giving him a rest. I think Daniels is an obvious one to come in on Saturday for him, and there's others. Hall, if Birmingham let him play, I guess we've got questions over whether clubs will let players be cup tied.
How about
there's some players who need legs, who need games.
How about Oshy and Evan coming in for Alan and Akagbu, perhaps? What do you think, Seb?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I think McKenty's probably the one who'd probably slot back in that right centre-back role, even though I thought Akagbu played quite well yesterday, to be fair.
Yeah, he was my man of the match yesterday. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I probably have to agree with you on that one. I thought he looked really good. But, McKenty just brings that dimension of, he's good in the air, good with his feet as well. But other players that bring in, I'd love to see a Dharma play on the wing. I know it might, affect the balance where we're playing at the moment, which I don't think we would do. But imagine Connor Barrett, full back, and then a Dharma on the right. I think that'd be a lethal right-hand side. But yeah, no doubt we'll probably make some changes. Like to see DJ get some more minutes into him, and yeah, we'll wait and see.
Got you. Okay. Lee, obviously Ronan Mayer is a great talent, but he's not even getting on the bench. So would it be sensible to loan him out, you think?
It's an odd one, isn't it, Simon? Because you look sort of Sturt Comley play that same sort of role, and then you've got then in front Jellis and Lakin, and then obviously the first change in that you would think would be Jack Earing, but is Hall more that central sort of midfield player, or would he be better sort of out wide? And then with Ram, could he come in and do a job if Jellis was out, suspended or injured? It's hard because, again, don't forget with Ram being sort of 19 coming up to 20, the rest of them in midfield are sort of 22, 23. So there is a bit of a gap in the age between sort of Ram and the rest of them. It's an hard one. I would like him to stop at the club and try and get some game time. But if it looks like he's not going to get any game time whatsoever, and we get to the end of the season and he's made like 5-6 appearances, it's not good for his development. So it's a really tricky one. I suppose in January it all depends on what happens with some of the loan players. I think the key one for me is Hall from Birmingham. If Birmingham sort of want him back, and then it frees up more opportunities for Ram then to be in the first team. I think if Hall stays with us to the end of the season, he might find it a lot harder to get into that midfield. But I'm sort of 50-50 on whether, it depends on where he's going to go on loan as well, and the quality he's going to be playing, whether staying with the squad and training day in, day out and learning from him and sort of being in that environment at the moment, would that benefit him long term? I don't know. It's a tricky one for me, Simon.
In some ways, I know people have mentioned Tamworth, but maybe somebody in League Two on loan, perhaps. I don't know. One for Phil. Josh Gordon is approaching fitness. Does he get back into the team? Does he get on the bench?
I think he'll get on the bench. I don't think he'll come straight back in. I think Matt Sadler seems pretty happy with the Matt Lowe combination at the moment. I think we need to manage Jamil Matt's minutes and Nathan Lowe as well to an extent. I think I wasn't there yesterday, but I've heard a few and I've seen a few comments from people saying that, should Matt have come off a little bit earlier? I don't know. I'm just going on what other people have said. So I think we need to manage their minutes, and we know that Matt Sadler is a fan of Josh Gordon. We know that he was very keen to get him back to the club in the summer. He used him a lot last season when he was on loan. So I think when he comes back into the squad, he'll start on the bench. But it wouldn't surprise me if he works his way back into the team fairly quickly. Because what we do know is that whatever we think of him, Matt Sadler is a big fan of Josh Gordon and the energy and the work rate that he provides up front.
Yeah, but you could say the same of Donovan Daniels and Oshie, couldn't you? And
I think it goes back to what we said earlier, that players will have to wait. They'll have to be patient. They'll have to wait for their chance unless something dramatic happens, unless there's a big drop off in form of the team and individuals. They're going to have to be patient. Yeah,
I think one thing that I'm enjoying most of all at the minute, they've talked about it, but I think we're really seeing the togetherness. It seems like the whole squad is together, and from the fans forum. That was such a comfortable evening, really. To be 100% honest, I wasn't over keen going in the locker. I'd rather had a comfy seat in the lounge. but things are looking good at the minute. I think one thing they covered with the fans forum, transfer activity. Ben Boycott and Ben Sadler talked about how they'd widen the net more, didn't they, Lee?
Yeah, I think in the past, sort of, especially with sort of when we've had Darryl Clark and Flynn, they were sort of, the club were more heavily reliant on their sort of contacts and the smaller pool of agents that they use. And obviously, Ben Boycott sort of at the fans forum sort of explained a little bit more with the analytical company they're using and sort of the data they're using. And obviously he said like they came up with the names of Williams, Jellis and Barrett, and then obviously they went and had a look at them in a bit more depth, and then obviously that's when Matt Sadler and the rest of the coaching staff get involved, because like he made it clear that still Matt Sadler had the final say on who we're signing, but it's that sort of initial analytical sort of depth they're looking at. They've got certain criteria, the attributes they're looking for, and then the company gives them a list of names, and then they go and sort of make that list of names even shorter, and they make a final decision, which is wise, isn't it? Because again, we've seen in the past certain managers who sort of have their favourites, shall we say, or their sort of 2 or 3 set agents they use. It's just reducing the amount of players that you can potentially bring into the club, and we've seen already how much of a benefit it's been to us.
Yeah, I think Daz, we're seeing a whole sort of more professional outlook from the club, aren't we? A lot of the things have gone on in the past sort of cringeworthy. Ben Sadler has obviously gained a lot of the credit, but I mean, a lot of it was coming beforehand, I think. But is what 3 months he's been here, Ben Sadler, and he's coming up with lots of good ideas. Sort of the ticket offers. Like, could you imagine when Bonta was in charge, we get drawn against Bolton, and he says £10 a ticket. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, I agree. I think take it back 12 months or 18 months, and in the aftermath of Flynn getting sacked, Ben Boycott put a statement out that was widely derided, to be fair, planning literally laid out what he thought the club would look like. Not a lot of people took it all that seriously. If you look at what he wrote and what the club looks like now, we're getting there. One of the things that was on that was the words young, improvable footballers. And I think you can see that our transfer policy has got a pattern to it. Adoma is the one that proves the role in many ways. But you look at the patience they showed with Barrett. You look at what they've recruited since. You look at the way they're structuring ticket office. People are coming through the doors as well. We had 5,000 for a Tuesday night the other day, which is not that common.
There weren't many away fans.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of things coming together, and I think you mentioned earlier the relationship between the team and the fans. I think you put the club in that as well. I can't remember a time, certainly in the last 30 or 40 years, where the team, the fans, and the club, the administration of the club has been so close. I think Trivella have brought a lot to that, and well done. It's nice to go.
The another thing that was mentioned, Seb, was I'm not sure, it could have been one of Lee's questions, but about the stability if people start coming for our players in January. But they were clear. They don't have to sell anyone. Obviously, if somebody's coming with a crazy offer and it makes very good commercial sense, they're going to take it, obviously. But Walsall are now in a position now where we need to sell, where previously anybody bought any money at all, we'd go, oh yeah, go on, like that. But,
like you said. Go on, Tom.
The ambition's there now, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, the years gone by, we'd have teams, higher leagues, pinch our players. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in January we don't have too many key departures. But like we spoke about, we've got a big squad with pretty sound quality all across. I think recruitment in the summer, we spoke about it as well, I thought was very smart. Connor Barrett, really good pickup. I genuinely think he's probably top 5 best signings in League Two. I think what he brings to us, was very weak and right wing back last season, playing Tom Knowles there. So to bring him in, the quality he brings, going forward and defensively, he's excellent. But like you said, we're in really good position, and good things take time at the end of the day. I know we've been in this league for way too long. I think this is our 6th season now. But yeah, we're getting there steadily.
What they also mentioned, Lee, was if people come in for Matt Sadler, they've already got something in mind, haven't they?
I think it's just that model they've got now, Simon, where they're sort of planning for all sort of eventualities, which is sensible for any business, but especially football team. So that's great. But at the moment, you can see there's a few managers who are losing the job and they're being replaced. And there's a few others that are sort of coming under a bit of pressure because obviously we're into that period where a lot of teams have played 13, 14, 15 games. And some clubs are having a look and thinking they haven't got the start they were hoping for. And obviously the pressure comes on to the managers then. But I think the way the club is at the moment, and I would imagine that a lot of clubs will be looking at what Matt Salah's doing. But I think at the moment, from Matt Salah's point of view, why would he want to leave somewhere where he's got a good environment where he's working in and the future's like looking upwards, we're on an upward curve. So even if we have a bit of a tail off this season and we sort of just about get ourselves across the line and we're going to League One, I think Trevella are the sort of club, we're never going to spend like millions and millions and everything, but I think there's a structure in place where if we did get into League One, Matt Sadler would have the environment where he can sort of improve himself and improve the team. There's not a lot of clubs about that can sort of give you that sort of as a manager, is there? And I think that's probably one of the things that is going in our favour at the moment as well.
It's that patience, I think, because Matt Sadler is such an inexperienced manager, in real terms. I don't think there's going to be that many grabbing at him at the moment. But he's certainly got the right building blocks. But I think people will probably see it's not just Matt Sadler, it's the whole environment. And I think one thing that was also talked about, and it's a concern for everybody. Carlisle, for example, got promoted and then coming straight back down, because going up into League One is not sort of a nice, comfy, promised land where everything's going to be sweetness and light. But Trevella was saying like the funding to compete in League One is there. But question for Phil, and other people might want to jump on this. A lot of our success at the moment is the high press. And as we saw against Grimsby, a ball's got into the centre half. He's controlled it poorly, and the player's been on him. In League One, as you start moving up the pyramid, the control's going to be better. So, would Walsall need to change their style, or would that style still work in League One? You think, Phil?
God.
I'll give you all the difficult
I
ones.
honestly haven't thought that far ahead, Simon, to be perfectly honest with you, mate. I'm just sort of enjoying what we're doing at the moment.
Am I getting carried away?
Yeah, maybe. Look, we saw last season, didn't we? I mean, this season has been a bit different, hasn't it? Because I mean, the teams that got promoted from League One. From League Two to League One last season have got a bit of money behind them. Crawley aside, I suppose, who are struggling a bit more, but they're not doing too badly, to be fair. I guess we would have to look at that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that as a general approach. I mean, look, let's not forget we've seen it work against League One teams. We've played 3 League One teams already this season in Birmingham, Huddersfield, and Exeter, and we've not exactly done badly, have we, with that approach?
No.
I mean, we would undoubtedly have to look to strengthen the squad. There's any doubt about that, and we'd have to look to bring in a bit more quality into certain areas. But I think as a general approach to playing, I don't think there's anything wrong with what we're doing at the moment. I don't think we'd have to completely change the approach to the game.
Yeah, I like the Abandoned Hunting's comment. Let's get out to League Two first. So yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I better wind back from that.
Just on that outside, man. Like I think Daz has already sort of touched on this. I think the position we're in now, and you see quite a lot of people are doing quite a bit of analysis on us and sort of the style of play we're sort of playing at the moment. I think over the coming weeks, you're going to see a few teams that are going to change the tactics against us and sort of like they did at Accrington. Instead of teams coming out and playing out from the back, I think they will go a bit longer or a bit more direct to sort of stop us pressing them. So then that'll be another test for the team and for Matt Sadler to see how he comes up to resolve that problem as well, or a new issue that brings. Because normally,
just interrupting there, Seb. Just have to say goodbye to Seb. He had to go off for another show.
Just
carry on.
Just because like how we're performing and how good we are at the moment, I think a lot of teams will start adapting how they play against us, and they'll see about how we press sort of from the front, and they'll try and counter that by going long or mixing it up a little bit more. So it'll be interesting over the next few weeks to see how we develop a sort of a bit of a plan B, shall I say, to come up against that.
One thing that I understand what you're saying there, I think one thing that was sort of nice to hear was the question about Richard O'Kelly. And Richard O'Kelly is sort of performing as a mentor for Matt Sadler. So knowing how smart Richard O'Kelly is, he's probably already having conversations with Matt Sadler, saying people are going to start changing the way they're doing things against you, and how are you going to counteract it? So I think they're probably, I would be surprised if they're not already on that. We did hear a lot about it. Any player that Walsall have got, they're already looking for the next player to replace him. And it's like almost like a forward-looking business, isn't it, at the minute? Which is which is nice to see after years of sort of gut feel changes. Daz, I'm right to be optimistic, aren't I, for this season?
I think so. I think we've seen enough now. For me, there's a number of players, and it goes back to the conversation we just had about League One, and would we have to change? There's a number of players that are playing beneath the level that they're natural at. I think Barrett is already playing below his level, and I think you can look, and there are 5 or 6 players that are probably playing lower than their natural level with us. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign for the rest of the year. I think the manager's learning. I think you've got the additional input from O'Kelly as well. We're also going to improve. You know, I talk about it a lot. The playing 50, 60, 70 games is the learning experience, and then you stop making the mistakes. I think I think Liam Gordon went over 100 games for us yesterday. I know he played elsewhere, but there'll be a number of players that go between 50 and 100 games across the season, and will improve. You know, they will soak it up, and I think we'll get better as the season goes on. I'll be disappointed if the team that finishes in April or May, whenever the season finishes, would get beat by this team, because I think we'll get better. And I think the team in April or May will sweep this team away. Yeah.
I think the best response after Fleetwood, because that could have been the crumble, couldn't it? But I mean, the response since that has been excellent, hasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, I alluded to that earlier on. I was a little bit fearful coming away from the Fleetwood game that it was the bursting of the bubble, but I thought the reaction at Chesterfield was superb. I actually think that was one of our better performances of the season, and we should have won the game, but for a couple of missed chances and a couple of individual errors at the back, we would have won the game. I thought we played very well at Chesterfield, and obviously you can't argue with the response from there. 2 wins and 2 draws since Fleetwood. You know, still second in the league with a game in hand. So yeah, it was a bad night, but the response to it has been excellent.
Yeah.
Just sorry, Simon. Just on that one, Phil, sort of the Fleetwood game. The one thing that sort of struck me watching that as well, I don't think. Well, I'm pretty sure none of the players threw the towel in. Now, in the past, if we've been losing 4-2, 5-2, there would have been certain players who would have sort of throwing the towel in and sort of wanting to get off that pitch. To me, every single one of them still played to the final whistle. And when I went into work the next day, a couple of lads said to me, "Oh, 6-2, you got a right drum in there." And I said, "Well, yeah, we have, but I'm not that." I said, "It's really weird." I said, "I'm not that disappointed." I said, "Because we had chances to score goals." I said, "We could have," and I said this to Simon Saturday. I said, "Could quite easily come out of there." And I think on the night overall, we deserved to lose, but it could have been like 6-5, 6-4 in the end. It wasn't one of them. It wasn't one of them 6-2s where we didn't have no chances whatsoever, and we sort of looked totally woeful. I'll give credit to the players. I don't think any of them threw the towel in, and they all tried for the final whistle. Which, again, like I said earlier, I think the mindset of this team has changed considerably, especially to teams 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think there was a moment in the Fleetwood game, wasn't it? I think when it was at 4-2. And Liam Gordon put a great cross in, and DJ was at the back post, and bread and butter for DJ. And he headed it just the wrong side of the post. If that had gone in, it would have made it 4-3. Might have made the last 10 minutes or so a bit more interesting. As it was, they pretty much went straight up the other end and finished the game. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I thought on the night we were second best in most areas.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bad night, and I was a little bit concerned coming away, but you can't argue with the response.
No, but another interesting side to that, Bill, the 4 games afterwards, Fleetwood basically only picked up 1 point.
Yeah,
and then the 3 games we played, we picked up 7 points. You would have thought, if you looked at the next lot of results, it would have been us winning 6-2 and Fleetwood losing 6-2. But just funny how the football sort of pans out sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Consistency wins you the league, not the odd result. And quite often Walsall sort of do well against the teams at the top and then lose teams at the bottom. And looks like we're putting that right. So long may that continue. Ozzy is saying when we get McKenty back in the side and hopefully swap DJ for Matt, then we'll look the real deal. Do you think that would make a big difference to us, Daz?
Ozzy, I don't agree on DJ and Matt. I'm a big DJ fan, but I think Matt he's undervalued, significantly undervalued. I think he gives us value in both boxes. I've seen some of the criticism he's had on social media as well. I think he does a brilliant job for the team, absolutely brilliant. And I think he's kind of trying to do the Gordon role more than the Matt role. And Lowe's kind of leading the line. Johnson is, there's times and places for Johnson, but leading the line for me, I'm not convinced. I agree with the McKenty statement. Ozzy, I think he improves the team as soon as he comes back in.
Yeah, I think
that's not a slight on Dave. I think Dave's done a good job.
Yeah, I think McKenty in for a Kagbu, I think would strengthen us still.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you saw the fan reaction with Jamie Jealous's dad, and after Saturday, and he was very complimentary of Jammer, and he works so hard. I think Ozzy's comment about Jammer, if that was last season, I'd agree 100%.
Yeah.
But Jammer this season is the Jamil Matt that we thought we were getting, and we hadn't seen it last season or the end of the previous season, but we've seen it now. Nobody wants to play against Jamil Matt. He's a total menace, as Daz says, both boxes, and he does get overlooked against Carlisle. We're going through our increasingly difficult challenge of naming our Lee Moorwind as man of the match. There's just so many players now you could pick, and we went through and we didn't pick Jamil Matt, and then somebody said on the fan reaction about Jamil Matt, it was like, hang on, he got 2 assists and a goal. It's like, if that's not man of the match, what is? It's one of them.
And then when he got took off, we had nothing up front.
Yeah.
And
Matt
there
Sadler
was
said
no
they
air
thought
ball at all.
Matt Sadler said they thought they managed the last 10 minutes really well. I think it's a bit of bluffing going on there. I don't. I thought that was a struggle. I say when Lowe and Matt went off, we hadn't got a target
Yeah.
to aim at, as you mentioned. So, but saying that, we've got Lowe and Jamil Matt. Perhaps just playing one of those and then having the other one to come on. But then with how well they're playing at the moment, you wouldn't change it, would you, Lee?
No, not necessarily at the moment. No, I wouldn't. But again, going forward, I think you can. Matt Sadler's in a really good position because he's got a group of players, and we've already said this. If you sort of bought Lowe and Matt out, and you brought DJ and one other in, are you necessarily sort of diluting the quality? No, but obviously Matt and Lowe do a different job to what DJ and say Albert Adoma would do, or a Hall would do, or a Gordon or a DJT would do. So I think he's in a really good position, Matt Sadler, going forward, because he can sort of look at the teams we're coming up against, and if he needs a bit more pace, obviously when Gordon's fully fit and he's available, he could use him. And then sort of a team like Saturday against Accrington, where you know they're going to be a lot more physical, then that's where you need both Matt and Lowe to sort of go up and compete with that physicality. I think he's got a lot of bases covered. It's not like we're one-dimensional. It's not like we have to play Matt and Lowe no matter what because we've got nothing else or style to play. So it'll be interesting going forward.
So the question is, in that type of game, we'll ignore for the fact we're on a great run and we don't want to change the team. But would it make sense to play Jamil Matt first half, Nathan Lowe second half, and then have a different type of striker alongside them? So then you've got the physical presence, the aerial ability, fresh for the whole of the 90. What do you think? Phil?
It's possible, mate. Oh, sorry.
Go on, Phil.
Was that for me? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a brave call to make a major change like that at this stage. It really is. It's not something I'll be looking to do. Just going back to Jammer, I agree with everything that's been said about him so far. I think the big difference this year with Jammer is that he's stayed fit. I think injuries killed him last season. I don't really think he looked fully fit at any stage last season. He seemed to go from one kind of niggly injury to the other, and particularly when you're in your mid-30s, that slows you down. I think the difference this season is he's had a sustained run of games, and I must admit, I think I said it after one of the games earlier in the season, I wasn't necessarily convinced that Matt and Lowe was the best partnership, but you can't argue with the results at the moment, and I think they've got better as a partnership as the season's gone on. So it'd be a very brave call to make any major changes to that at this stage. But yeah, going forward, horses for courses. There'll be certain game situations where you'll need the guile of Adoma. There'll be certain situations where you think, right, let's get DJ on in the hope that something falls through in the box when you need a goal. So they'll all have a part to play between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
so I agree with Ozzy there. Matt misses too many chances. I wouldn't argue with that at all. What I would say is I think that Matt and Lowe play different roles. It's not like they're playing the same role. Matt is playing the back to goal role, and Lowe is mobile around him. I don't think it's like you can say we'll play Lowe first half, Matt second half, or vice versa. I think they're playing different roles within the team. I think Lowe is benefiting from Matt killing himself for I agree with that. Lowe is benefiting from Matt burying himself for his partner. Yeah,
I also agree on the chances one as well. I mean, let's go back to the Chesterfield game. Jammer could have had a hat-trick in the first half an hour at Chesterfield. He had a point-blank header from a corner after about 3 minutes, which I think hit him on the shoulder. He missed another good chance, and then there was the one where he hit the keeper, but Lowe put the rebound in. So, but I suppose you could say, but I mean, the other side of the coin is I think he's got 5 goals now, which I think is the same as his whole tally for last season.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hopefully he'll improve his conversion rate a bit.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely having a good season. I think at the start of the season we thought if he gets between 6 and 10 for the season, he'll have had a very good season. But I think the way he's going, if he stays fitly, I think he'll go past 10, won't he?
I would imagine so. I think I agree with what both Daz and Phil have just said there, and some of the comments that are coming. I think he does get a lot of chances, Matt, and I think he could quite easily be on double figures now. So, but I'm sure that'll be something he's working on, and I've got a funny feeling Matt's giving his all, and he's going to bury himself because I think he probably knows come the end of the season, this is probably his last full year of playing sort of league football, and I think he's absolutely giving it 110% every game. He's emptying the tank because he just wants to do the best for himself personally, but he wants to do the best for Walsall and drive us as far up the table as he can. And you can see he's absolutely, some of the games he's absolutely knackered, but he's not complaining about it or anything. He's getting on with it. He's rolling his sleeves up. Like Saturday gets Accrington back to the battle he had with them pair. I mean, I think them pair would probably take the rest of next week to recover because some of the sort of grappling what was going on, and you could just see he was enjoying that, wasn't he, Matt? And he's up for the challenge, and you can see their two centre backs at the full time whistle. They were hardly moving because they were that knackered. You just like 3 man low and like ran them ragged.
Yeah, Rawson was very, very good, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know whether we should go on too much about the ref, but how you can. What do you think of that? What do you think of the ref on Saturday?
The referee on Saturday. Okay. There was a trip on Jellis on the edge of the box, and he played advantage, let us have a shot, and then gave us the free kick when we wasted a shot. If it had been the other way around, I would be doing my head in, honestly. Playing advantage and then when they waste the advantage, pulling it back would have really wound me up. He reminded me of the referee at Tranmere, but it was the same kind of game as Tranmere. Both games, both referees just wanted to get involved almost too much, and then there was stuff that you've just blown for that, and you don't blow for this. I think one of the things with a lot of League Two referees is the amount of fouls they give against attackers that they wouldn't give against defenders. I think the amount of times an attacker gets whistled against for a nudge and a defender rolls over, both for Walsall and against Walsall, and then the defender rattles the centre forward, like we saw the amount of pulling a Gemma's shirt yesterday. Nothing happens, and there's an imbalance somewhere.
There was one example. I don't think it was Jammer. I think it was Nathan Lowe. The defender grabbed hold of his wrist with both hands and pulled him, full arm, pulling him away from the ball in clear view of the ref. And the ref just sort of, that's nothing, carry on. Like, how can that not be a foul?
But he gave 2 fouls against Jellish yesterday for blocking at the corner. You contrast that with I think it was the 3rd goal that Fleetwood scored, when the 3 centre halves were essentially turned us into pinballs, and you got the goalkeeper and I think Dave and Simkin were both in the back of the net where they've been buried, and the lack of consistency.
Their striker was pretty much sitting on top of Simkin, and he allowed the goal.
The lack of consistency is nuts, and we do as well out of it as well. I'm not moaning, but yesterday was poor.
The frustrating one. I think Ozzy's comment on maybe given how much punishment Jammer is getting with very little protection, I think maybe giving DJ a little bit more time would make sense if Lowe's staying on. Obviously, taking Lowe and Jammer off maybe that sort of loses a lot of that strength up front. Unless, of course, you've got the likes of Cleary coming on, who's going to be able to stretch them with his pace, perhaps.
Sorry, I keep talking now. Yesterday, if we'd have lost on Tuesday, or we'd have put 1 point out of the last 2 games, you would have seen different substitutions. Yesterday, for me, he was happy with a point. He wanted the clean sheet. It's his first clean sheet since Fleetwood. And I think he was happy to walk away with Accrington 0 and whatever we got. I think you'd have seen Johnson for a lot longer if we were losing.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think, sometimes maybe just taking the point. Is that the right thing, Lee?
Oh, yeah, because if you think, Simon, the first 10 games, we got 19 points on the board. And then I know Daz likes to break his down to 5, but this next set of 10, I said to you, didn't I? I said, if we can get another 19, I'll be more than happy. Because I think if we get to the 20-game mark played and we're sort of around that 38-point mark, we're right in the mix. And we started it off, the first 3 games of the next 10 with 7. So the next 7 games, can we get 12 points or more? I think we can. And that will put us in a really good position. I know Dad likes doing his little mini 5-game sort of league and getting 9 points out of the 5, which is the same, really, isn't it? But I think especially this season, I think if every 10 games you're sort of averaging 18, 19 points come the end of the season, you're not going to be far away. Yeah. And that 75-point mark looks a lot nicer now as well, doesn't it?
Well, after every win, it all seems to sort of start to feel much calmer, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, but I think this next period of games after the Bolton game will be interesting, Simon, November, December, because the run up to Christmas, I think we've got something. I think the Gillingham game will get cancelled for the international break. But I think we've got 10 league games on the run up to sort of Boxing Day, and if you have a look at the teams we're playing, we've got to play like the teams that are in contention. So probably the Gillingham game will get called off, but we've got like Wimbledon, Port Vale, Notts County. So them are the teams and the games that we do well in again. And come Christmas, we're still in the top 2 positions. We're going to have a really, really good season. So let's see what happens after Bolton, the next sort of 6 or 7 games, and see if we can really get ourselves in the mix, which I fully believe we can. I think that we've got the squad and we've got the players that can do it. The sort of the belief and the mindset's there. It's just let's go and win as many games as we can and sort of don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just concentrate on ourselves and keep picking the points up. Yeah,
I think it's quite sensible, really, to not try and go all out to win absolutely every game. Sometimes you sort of, okay, a point will do today, sort of thing. If you're in that game there. Lee, you did say you've got some questions for Daz. Have you covered those, or have you got any?
I think I have. I think we just need another 49 from the 33 games left, haven't we? if my maths is right, I don't know whether Daz agrees with that or not.
I'll tell you, we got 25 or 26. How many have we got?
26.
So we need another 24 points before we start thinking about anything else. Get to 50. Get to 50 is always the plan.
We'll have that by Christmas, Daz. The other one is, Daz, are you starting to believe?
I believe more than I did at Solly or Drogheda or Tamworth, to be perfectly honest with you. There was a point between Drogheda and Solly or Moors where I didn't think Sadler was going to make Bonfire Night. He's clearly going to make Bonfire Night now, so I believe a bit more than I did then.
The belief is coming. Point from Aussie there. Port Vale away, 12:30 kickoff. That would be great to go there and win, wouldn't it?
My boss, I said to you, didn't I, Saturday, Simon, my boss, the company I work for, the big boss who owns the company, he's a Port Vale fan. And sort of before the season, he was telling me, hey, Port Vale, we're going to do this and do that. And then recently, this week, he goes, I think it's going to be between us and you at Walsall. And I said, what did I say to you, Jeremy, before the start of the season? I said, the winner of League Two will be the winner of the 2 games we play at Port Vale, and then when you play us in March at home, whoever gets the most points out of them 2 games will win League Two. And he had to admit, he goes, I think you might be right. And I still stand by that, Simon. I think the 2 games we play against Port Vale will decide who finishes first and who finishes second.
If we finish second to Port Vale, I won't be over disappointed, but it would be nice to finish above them. A question for Phil. Tommy Simpkin. There's a comment earlier on about him. What's your thoughts on Tommy Simpkin?
Yeah, interesting one. Overall, I think he's done okay, but he had a difficult couple of games. Let's not get away from that. He had a difficult night against Fleetwood, and he followed that up against Chesterfield with a bit of a clanger, really. Picking up the back pass, and then I don't think he did particularly well from the resulting free kick either. And one thing I noticed in the second half against Chesterfield is it looked to me like some of the defenders around him had maybe lost a little bit of confidence in him. There was a couple of times when I think back passes would normally have gone back to him and they didn't. And there was one where a ball broke in the area and Taylor Allen kind of took it upon himself to intercept it and take it away when normally he would have expected the goalkeeper to come for it. Look, he's a young goalkeeper. He's still a baby in terms of like league football. I know he's obviously highly thought of at Stoke and he's highly thought of in the international circuit for his age. But he is still an inexperienced goalkeeper when it comes to league football. He has made mistakes and he'll probably make some more. But for what it's worth, I think Matt Sadler was right to stick with him. I know that there was a few people said that he should have been dropped after maybe the Fleetwood game, the Chesterfield game, and I could see where those people were coming from. But I can see why Matt Sadler stuck with him, and for what it's worth, I think it was the right decision. I think it might have killed him more if he'd been dropped at that point. There's work to do. I think he needs to get better on crosses. I think he needs to work on commanding his area. But he's a young goalkeeper. He's still learning. But on the whole, I think there's the potential there for a good goalkeeper. And I'm glad we made I think that comment that just come up there. Yeah, there was one save at the end yesterday at the back post where he made a very good save. So hopefully that clean sheet has got him back on the right path.
Yeah, I want to go to Lee on this. I've just got a little comment in here. I reckon we're getting some kind of payment per game from Stoke. I'd heard something along those lines as well. But football and success is about relationships, and our relationship with Stoke. We were talking about that on Saturday, weren't we, Lee?
Yeah, I think it goes back a few years when we played Stoke pre-season. And unfortunately, Corey Roberts broke his leg, didn't he?
Yeah.
And like, I think this is only my own personal opinion. I don't know for sure, but I think Stoke has sort of done us a favour with like David Kagbu and now this season. And I think it's part of when we played him pre-season, and obviously, unfortunately, Corey Roberts broke his leg and sort of was out for that season and everything. I think it sort of helped get us them players, but it's the actual way we've been playing football, and it's ideal for Stoke. And I would imagine it'd be ideal for Birmingham and West Brom and even the Villa to send their young and upcoming players, because if you're a player at Stoke, then you come into Walsall, you're not moving out of the area. I believe sort of Ben Boycott said this, or was it Ben Sadler said it at the fans forum. Stoke have got a scout at every single Walsall game. Every game Walsall played so far this season, there's been a scout, or the loan manager has come to every game and sort of kept an eye on Simpkin and Lowe, and there's that close dialogue between them. So it's a great sort of relationship that's building, and obviously the better sort of Simpkin and Lowe do this season, and obviously Dave did last season, it just shows that we can be trusted with young players coming up. So Stoke in the future will give us more up and coming players. So it's a great sort of symbiotic sort of relationship building, isn't it?
Yeah, cultivating that kind of relationship is key, and Matt Sadler is obviously a big part of that. So that's really good. Question for Phil: what's your opinion on Taylor Allen's free kicks?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got to say that I'm not. I'll answer it in a minute, but I don't know whether there's been any, because very unusually for me, I've missed the last 3 games with one thing and another. I missed the Grimsby game because a team of mine at school were in a final. Then we had a lovely phone call from Ofsted on Monday, so we had them in on Tuesday and Wednesday, which meant I couldn't make the Carlisle game. It was a pretty intense few days, but and then I was playing in a charity game yesterday, so I couldn't make Accrington either. So I don't know whether his free kicks in the last 3 games have been a little bit off it. I think generally his delivery is pretty good from corners and from free kicks, but I don't know whether there's been anything in the last few games that's been where perhaps his radar's been off a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe one of the other two could help me out on that one.
I don't think there's been anything majorly dropping off with it. I think his delivery's been good.
Sorry, Simon, just a quick one on that one. I think obviously the standard was set at Swindon, wasn't it? Where he sort of just killed it straight to the top corner. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do that every week. We would love him to do it every week, but sort of that's probably asking a little bit too much. But again, most of his corners yesterday were sort of spot on. There was a couple that didn't sort of beat the first man on the odd occasion, but in general, most of his corners were sort of right in the danger zone, weren't they? So
yeah,
from his free kicks and his corners, have been good.
He was up there for man of the match again, really. He was sort of well up there, one of the better performers on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's generally one of the things he brings to the team is his passing out of defence and his set piece ability. It's a big asset, I think, for him, for his game.
Question again from Ozzy about recall for Lowe. That was covered off on the fans forum.
Yes, it was, Simon.
What essentially they were saying, you won't get a player on loan for the season without an option to recall, because it's their player, and if they need him, they'll take him back. But I think as Lee and I was discussing on Saturday, Tesgel is not getting a start. So I think the likelihood of Lowe being recalled is unlikely. I think that's what we were saying, wasn't it, Lee? Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially if we're come January time, and if we're still in the top 3, and obviously Lowe's playing the majority of the game, Simpkins playing the majority of the game, why would Stoke recall him? Obviously, if they get some major injury or something, I think Stoke have already said they want both of them to get as many games as they can, because obviously it's for their development and it'll benefit Stoke in the long run. So if they took them back and they were going to play at Stoke, then you can't grumble, can you? Because obviously the level Stoke are at. But to have them back just to sit in sort of the reserves or sit on the bench, be a bit of a waste of opportunity for the players. So at the moment, I can't see us losing them back to Stoke. I mean, obviously there's still a few weeks between now and when January window opens, but we can carry on playing like we are, and then 2 are sort of key members of the squad. I can't see Stoke wanting to take them back.
No, I think as Fallen Maniacs said there, it's good for their development to stay with us and have a proper season with us. I spoke briefly with Nathan Lowe's dad. The reason he wanted to come to Walsall was Matt Sadler had been chasing him consistently for a long time, so he knew that he was going to be really respected, and really they desired him. It wasn't just a sort of like a gut reaction, we need a striker. It was like specific that he wanted Lowe. So that's again Matt Sadler doing things the right way. He doesn't always come across as the jumping up and down screaming guy, but he's a very intelligent guy, Matt Sadler. And with Richard O'Kelly next to him, he's got that wise head supporting him as well. So all look good. Just one comment here from David Point. Stoke at present have 3 attackers on the bench. So unless they have a massive injury crisis, they will be wise to leave him at Walsall. I think that's about it, isn't it? Just as we're finishing off, final thoughts, Daz?
I think we've had a good start. We shouldn't get too carried away. I think there's a lot of football season to go, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Lee?
Yeah, pretty much what Daz has just said there. We've had a really good start. We've played 13 games in the league. We've got 26 points, so we're averaging the old fable 2 points a game, which if you do that throughout the season, you're not going to be far off the top 3 positions. So I think this month is key. Again, I think against Bolton, like Daz said, we'll probably see a few changes, which I won't mind at all because it'll give some other players a chance. And then back into the league after that, I think we have a good November and then go into December and have a good December. We really will be in the box seats to get out of this division and do it automatically without going through the playoffs. That's
it. I think if we can maintain our position in there, the gap will start to appear, won't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Final word from yourself, Phil. Are you getting back down Saturday? Got rid of all those off dead guys.
Yeah, can't. Yes, yeah. Fortunately, it went very well, but it's as anyone who's been through it will know, it's a pretty intense few days. So I was gutted to miss the game on Tuesday, and I say other things have been going on. So yeah, I can't wait to get back down there. I know we've got a run of home games coming up, so I'm looking forward to it. And that's the thing at the moment. I think that's the thing we're all enjoying. We're looking forward to match days and enjoying match days again, and long may that continue. There is a hell of a long way to go. I'm not getting carried away yet. It's been an encouraging start, but there's a heck of a lot of football to be played between now and May. So let's just enjoy it while it's here, and let's hope they keep it going. But I think I'm pretty much where Daz was earlier. I'm a lot more optimistic now than I was at the start of August.
Well, the joy and the pain, we've had the pain for the last few years. And it seems like a little bit of joy is coming with us. So, early days yet, but just got to keep it going. Excellent. Thanks very much for the guys joining us on the show. Thanks for everybody for watching and listening. Walsall Fan TV, the joy and the pain. Thanks for watching. Cheers.